Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests Dr. White and Lyada, fellow Martians of Earth and other planets. Thanks for tuning into BOBAS, the Big Group Think Tank. We're talking about why we find it so challenging to think, feel and see the same why. Indeed, one size does not fit all. Today's guests are going to give you an example of the challenges of teams working together across cultural and geographical borders, or what those Texans down south refer to as real Martian madness. Welcome to all of you. We introduce to our listeners. We are joined by Mustafa from India, Lamia from Africa, Fatima from Dubai, Burjit from Germany and Werapun from Bangkok. So why don't we start by asking you to tell our listeners about the experience you had with being a part of a global work team. Let's start with you, Mustafa, given you were one of the project leads.
Sure, thank you Bob for inviting us here today. For those of you who have friends, family or colleagues from the subcontinent region, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, the Maldives, Afghanistan or Iran, you would no doubt be familiar with the well-used expression same but different, isn't it? This is often used by those in the services industry, particularly cab drivers and salespeople looking to flock off genuine fake merchandise to bargain hunting tourists visiting countries on the Asian and Middle East continents, just like many other words and expressions, and in despite of the universal language of English being used, words mean different things to different people, isn't it?
Right, seems pretty logical given we all speak different languages and are raised in different cultures.
You are right, Bob. And although it would seem common sense, it's hard to really comprehend to what degree the same word can actually take on a vastly different meaning to people until, like in our example, it slaps you smack bang in the face.
Burjit, why don't you elaborate for USA?
Well Bob, my very first experience of being part of a real international project team my colleagues were based in different countries on all 6 continents including D, Middle East and Africa, D Americas and Europe and D Asia Pacific. Vesavio reminded to me that I had much to learn. Even my colleagues who were native English speakers found it very challenging and, of course, my vocabulary was far less sophisticated than those colleagues, but some of the other team members' repertoire and understanding of how to use words and apply them in different contexts was very impressive. Raboon, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I suppose the main point to make is that the selection and application of words was key in this project. The team was responsible for developing a global brand campaign, which was to increase sales in 40+ countries. Team members were selected from Singapore, Korea, China, Japan, Paris, Germany and Russia. Although the project manager couldn't be here today, as one of the project leads, I can tell you that what appeared to be a major advantage within the team, ended up being the major obstacle that caused us setback. The project manager's mother tongue was English. She had carefully handpicked very talented project team members whose experience and skill were undeniable. To cut a long story short, those with English as their second language were putting forth more impressive campaign taglines and wordplay ideas than she felt she was. So when she thought words were being put together for a global brand campaign, and that there were instances of them being used out of context, she took no action, having complete faith in the project team's ability and experience.
So after months of hard work and deliberation, the global team completed the campaign, right?
Exactly right, Bob. At that point, we thought we nailed the concept and marketing channels and sales would soar. We were wrong. All 25 people went the project just wrong.
You make it sound so dire. Lamia open square bracket shuffle.
It was serious. The words we chose didn't have an universal meaning. We learned much later than we should have that the words meant different things to different people.
How did you come to know this at that particular time in the project's life cycle?
I'll answer this one, Bob. Actually, we had all agreed on a tagline which we thought supported the product and campaign nicely and would help move sales, isn't it? What we learned, however, was that the meaning of the word quality, which to the Aussies and Americans on the team meant the product was trustworthy and functions as it should. When we presented our campaign to the senior executives in Asia, however, they asked us why we would use a tagline that wasn't correct. What do you mean incorrect? We all asked with puzzled looks on our faces. Well, said the senior vice president, we don't have any brand new aircraft in our fleet. I'm sorry, we don't quite follow, said one of my colleagues. And a very brave soul. I'll give it to you straight, said the SVP, here on the Asian continent, being true to your word is the license to do business. And your use of the word quality implies to our client that you are flying them in new aircraft, for which you are not, That campaign will not work across Asia and therefore does not have my approval.
Ouch, that OS gotta hurt.
Yes, cause the senior executives in the Middle East, the Americas and in Europe loved the campaign. We decided in the end however not to roll it out to the market until we had gone back to the drawing board and developed a campaign that all stakeholders were happy with.
Wow, that is a good reminder to us all about the challenges we need to be cognizant of when working across geographical and cultural borders. As usual for our think tank sessions, we have Professor Carl in the studio with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Bob. It's a pleasure.
Now you've had a chance to talk to the team prior to today, and also listen in on today's session. Tell us what lessons we can take from this and apply it into our own work environments.
I would like to discuss 3 important elements of creating great virtual teams that actually translate into creating a great team. The first concept that definitely applies in this scenario involves understanding how great teams communicate within the group. The first concept that definitely applies in this scenario involves understanding how great teams communicate within the group. The first issue was that of clarity, where there was a lack of understanding the cultural context of the client and region where the solution would apply. Second, there was clearly an accuracy issue where contextual facts were not considered. Finally, completeness was a problem because the solution was not thoroughly vetted during the design phases to ensure the slogan would not be misinterpreted. The second concept concerns how great teams make great decisions. There appears to have been a gap in understanding that a key data point was the cultural context of the slogan, which is a fatal flaw. There could have been a sub-team created to study that exact topic to reduce exposure for the solution. That team would have also picked up a level of responsibility and certainly accountability when working to gather information and arriving at an appropriate decision. Basically, this team lacked some formalized process to dedicate resources, build a complete case, and create gateways for validating the correct decision. They went from 0 to 60 with limited speed checks in between. The next problem for the team involved selecting the right team members for this project. This team had great diversity and a broad geographic reach, but lacked at least one member who had the cultural context of the client. This was clearly a complex task where cultural diversity was considered. Perhaps, the slogan issue could have been avoided had the team developed a sub-team to focus on cultural context or used an incremental approach to developing the slogan. One of the most sensible opportunities was to include a cross-section of people who had some cultural connection or experience with the countries where the slogan would apply. Bob, this team had some success, but when it came to a complete solution, they were kaput.
Great. Thank you, Professor Carla, and a big thank you to all our guests today, and you our listeners for tuning in.